Hi everyone. I wanted to just say hello and just give you a brief update as far as where we are headed this week. Um, this is Friday, January 30th, 2015, and I'm starting to read the evaluations of customer service. As I read those, the biggest point that I really like to see are use of specific examples, because to me that is what really does make the difference. And I told you, previously that I had a student that worked at Nemacolin Woodlands in Farmington. And it's interesting, that's a five-star resort, but it's in the middle of nowhere on Route 40. And so Joe Hardy is the owner of that, the owner of 84 Lumber. And what's really interesting is the unbelievable service that they provide. The golf course there is second to none, and the food is just incredible. But I had a student that worked as a valet parker there, and there were two guests that had similar Ford Fusions, white, pretty much the same interior, color and everything else. And so they mistakenly gave the one guest the wrong Fusion. So the person got to the North Hills of Pittsburgh, and he went to open up his garage door, and he realized it was the wrong vehicle. So the student and one other person from there had to actually drive there, and they also gave the man a gift certificate. But that was a good example of stellar customer service. And of course, you can also, in writing or using details, you could also, if you had really awful a situation with a customer or with one of your bosses or whomever, you could definitely do that. I teach at criminal justice writing, and I had a detective named Mark Zupan who used to come into class, and he was like an offensive lineman. He went to University of Tulsa, so probably 6'6", and he said he was three spins on the scale, so he was at least 300, probably more pounds, but really an intimidating, hulking-looking sort of man. And although once he came into class and he was talking to some students, and one female student who was actually pretty muscular herself uh, said to him that he used to be a corrections officer. She said, "That's nothing but being a glorified babysitter." And he said, "No, that's not right." And he said, "It's a hard job." And he got physically close to her and intimidated her, and she kind of backed up. And I'm just using that as an example because he could be a really large, I mean, he was a large person, but he could be physically intimidating. He died of a heart attack, unfortunately, and I felt really bad about that. But there was an obituary in the Tribune Review newspaper, and the district attorney for Westmoreland County, John Peck, told a great story about Mark. There was an older woman in Greensburg that called the district attorney's office and said she lost her cat. And so, she didn't know what to do. And Mark, was very, very fond of pets. He was a real big pet lover, and also was really, he loved older people. So it made him really sad. So he actually left work and went to this woman's house, and they found the cat. I guess he got a ladder, climbed up the ladder, and got the cat. So it was a good example of someone who really his heart was in the right place. And so, like I said, using examples in your customer service evaluation is good. I want you to pay attention, though. Make sure in your introductory paragraph to use the 3 points or 4 points of criteria you're going to be covering. In the body, though, you definitely can use headings if you like. Those are helpful. If you want to do those, you can center and bold them, or you can center them or bold them and put them to the left, like right above the section of the paper you're going to be covering. So if it's like dealing with customer problems, then you have one or two paragraphs on that, and then you go to the next point of criteria. That's really helpful. So make sure your point of criteria is clearly stated, though, in the body paragraph. So like dealing with customer problems, that would be the first sentence of that paragraph. And then if you can use an example or two, that helps. At the very end, you want to use clearly, without a doubt, there is no question, and so on. And then at the end of the document, you want to give a rating on a scale of 1 to 10. and indicate why you gave that particular rating. So that's something that I would encourage you to do as you get into this. But to evaluate customer service is you're trying to be specific about it. Something else too that I wanted to tell you is some students that I've had in class said that some businesses and restaurants and whatever bend over too far to provide great customer service, and the customers take advantage of it. And there's a steakhouse in that Home Depot, Lowe's Plaza rather, in Greensburg. And I've had students that work there and say that a customer will eat 3/4 of a rack of ribs or a steak, and then they'll tell the server this isn't right, and they'll want a refund. And to me, that's taking advantage of the situation, and I don't think that's correct. But anyhow, if you want to use examples, they really do help. Make sure with your discussion board too, I've looked at those, but the biggest point, and I talked about those in my in-class course today, the biggest point that I really want you to do is don't start those with opinions. I feel, I believe, I think. You really don't want to go that way. What you do want to do is state the facts, lead in with the key facts, and then you can use therefore, thus, consequently. And so that's what's called inductive reasoning. So you're using a series of facts, and from those you're drawing conclusions. And believe me, that makes a much more of a difference. But again, don't use I think, I feel, I believe, and so on. Something that I'm a big advocate for, and we even have as one of our assignments in our class, is I believe that WCCC could use an instructional technologist. So to teach faculty for something how to create YouTube videos like this, or how to use Camtasia or Prezi or PowerPoint, use more of the features of Blackboard, use Blackboard Collaborate, and so on. But if I would go and talk to one of the administrators here and say, I feel, I think, I believe, that's not a good way to go. If I went in and said, 40% of our courses now use some element of technology in it. And if I gave a series of facts and then reached conclusions, I think that's, I know that's a stronger way to approach it. So that's called, the inductive style of reasoning. If you lean in with your opinions, that's deductive, and that's not as strong. So I wanted to make you aware of that. Did want to tell you that you do have to send your link for your article for that you're going to be using for your summary assignment that actually is due on the 13th of February. That's like a 3-part summary assignment where you do a visual organizer, a longer summary, and a shorter summary. And by the way, if you want to go onto YouTube and you can type in creating a visual organizer using Word, creating a visual organizer using PowerPoint, they'll show you some different options that you can use, but you can go into the Word Art and you can create a visual organizer. So I just did want to, to comment on that. We're also going to be moving into our consumer report for the 13th of February. I'm going to have you write a proposal on your consumer report. So you're choosing a brand of a product, and you're looking at you're choosing a product, and then you're going to look at 3 brands of the product. And the thing that they have to be is they have to be similar. So you have to look, so a good example is you have to look at a Honda CR-V EX, which is the medium trim line, and then you have the Toyota RAV4 LE, and then there is the Mazda CX-5 Touring, which is also the medium trim. They're all in that $25,000, $26,000 range. You certainly could not look at the Jeep Sahara, which is like a 4-door off-road type of vehicle, or Toyota makes, I think it's called the FJ Cruiser or the CJ Cruiser, but it's more of an off-road type of vehicle. The CR-V, the RAV4, and all those are runaround vehicles, that you can take, around town, some small off-road places, but they're all-wheel drive. And so they're good vehicles for snow, ice, and even gravel and whatnot, or rain. But you have to look at vehicles that are all the same or products that are all the same. So, just wanted to tell you that. And also I wanted to tell you is you should really have a handbook. This is one we used to use in this book, the Prentice Hall Reference Guide for Professional Writing. I kind of like this one. If you don't have one, pick up one like this, or the Brief Penguin Handbook, which is one we use for college writing. Or, of course, you could also refer to the Online Writing Lab for Purdue University. This is not the color of the book you use. Most of you have the brown one, but it has the same pages inside. Make sure to take a look at Process and Technical Communication, which is Chapter 2. And they go through like determining your purpose and organizing. This planning form that's in Chapter 2 is also in the very back of the book, and it helps you to get organized for the types of documents that you're going to be doing. And if you notice on page 44, they show you how sometimes in documents that you do, you're going to be writing different parts of the document for different readers, which is true. And that's a difference between technical writing compared to academic writing. Now, the other part that I wanted to have you take a look at is Chapter 3 on collaboration. And it just goes through roles for team members with running meetings or collaborating electronically using SharePoint or other ways of collaborating. The big point that I would tell you is most companies these days have style guidelines or templates to follow. If you don't have a template to follow or style guidelines, at the very least you want to determine what types of headings you want to use, subheadings, transition words, sentence length that you want to get into, in-text emphasis, even like similar words. Do you want to, like, for example, if you were doing something academic, you would want to use a general term like term rather than semester. So you develop some basic guidelines so that everyone in your group or whatever you're collaborating with has some guidelines to follow. But I've had a number of students that work for companies such as Caterpillar Heavy Equipment, Dell Computers, and so on, and they have specific style guidelines to follow. And a student that I had, his first name was Jeff, he worked for Caterpillar, and so if equipment failed or if it didn't live up to the expectations or whatnot, they had to document that. So their engineering department, their field service reps, and all the people that are involved with Caterpillar were aware of what problems they had, why a bulldozer blade failed, or why something flipped, or whatever it was, but they had to document, but it was a standard format. So incident, accident reports, and so on. So that would be something I'll tell you as far as, make sure that you have consistency with the information. That's it. I want to just finish this. Thanks.